Hey everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is already time to do a November roundup. I do one of these every single month to talk through products that I am ready to now review on my channel. Sometimes I have a small handful of things, but today I actually have more than usual. So I'm gonna try not to talk too much before I actually get started. I do have to tell you my tea of the day. I am drinking from Davidson's Organics, this Imperial Green. This was a sample I got in my Sips by box. I haven't even tasted it yet. Let's sip. If you like green tea, you will like this one. It's one that, at least for me, didn't get bitter. Yeah, it's kind of a classic green tea. It's good. Okay, let's get right into the products. I did have a friend declutter her collection and give me several things. So this month and next month, I will be talking about a few of those things. Let's start with the product on my lips. She gave me 2 shades of this product from It Cosmetics. I believe it's called the Je ne sais quoi. I'm sorry, I do not speak French. Je ne sais quoi. It's a lip serum. So the reason she gave them to me, she decluttered them because she thought they were too sticky. She's just not much of a gloss person. I really don't think they're that sticky. I think they're actually very thin on the lips. This is one of those products that has, like, you know, let's see if I can zoom in or focus on that. There you go. This type of end on it, you twist up and it comes out on the top. So it stays nice and clean. No wand dipping in there. So this particular shade, this is the one I'm wearing. Very difficult to see. This one's called Naturally Pretty. I like the formula. Like I said, I think it's very thin on the lips, non-sticky. The only thing with this, and oh, let me zoom back in my face. The reason why I'm mentioning it first is because I kind of want to wipe it off. Both of these have a little bit of that pH changing color ingredient in it, which means that the longer I wear this, the pinker it gets, which and I'm not usually a huge fan of that. And since this particular shade is already pink before you put it on, and then it just gets more and more pink the longer I wear it. I just wanted to show you like what it turns on my skin tone. I think this particular shade I'm going to give to a friend who has more tan skin, and it won't be quite so bright on her, I don't think. But I'm gonna quick wipe it off and put on this other shade, which just looks clear in the tube. This is the shade Your Perfect Pink. So I wiped it off, but you can tell my lips are stained a little bit. I'm just gonna quick put on a little bit of this clear one, which this one doesn't turn as bright pink on me. Just a little pink. So I can tolerate that much better. Anyway, I'm gonna keep this one and give the more pink one to my friend. Okay, moving on to the mascara I was testing last month. I finally tried out the classic Lash Paradise. It is a mascara I'm wearing today. I did make a short for this if you want to see me applying it. So this is $9.99 at Target. It has a fluffy wand, but not one of the really giant ones. Like this one isn't as large as others I have tried, like in this type of fluffy wand category. I find it a little bit easier to control. I find that I really like this formula because it's not as wet as other formulas I've tried. Sometimes I find those very wet formulas can be much more messy and difficult to control. I still wouldn't call it like a super dry formula, just not as wet. As far as it wears pretty well. I think by the end of the day, I do end up with a little bit of flaking, maybe a tiny bit of smearing. I would say normal mascara wear. So it definitely won't keep me from wearing this. I find there are very, very few mascaras out there that truly do not flake. I really like how it makes my lashes look because they are volumized, but they're also separated. They're not volumized so much that you just got a few lashes. They don't give you that spider leg look, and they're not like super crunchy looking. But at the same time, it's definitely more of a dramatic mascara. I wouldn't say as dramatic as, say, the Tower 28, but I still really enjoy the effect of this one. I like it. I think it's a good mascara. I think people were right when they hyped up this mascara, and I think it still gets people talking about it. In general, I have had very, very good success with L'Oreal mascaras. Let me know down in the comments, do you find that to be the same? Or are you more of a CoverGirl or Revlon or Maybelline girl or something else? I have a very long list of drugstore mascaras to try, but in case I don't have yours on my list yet, if you have a favorite, especially one that seems to be more obscure, please make sure and let me know down below because I'm looking forward to trying all the mascaras. Moving on to the blush that I'm wearing. So I picked up this from Persona. It was on sale through Ipsy for $5. I know, it's crazy. So this is called the Super Blush. I have the shade Carmel. The shade is not a neutral caramel shade. It's very much on me a rosy blush. I pulled it all the way up here on my temples so you could see the color as, you know, as good as possible. The formula is very kind of loosely pressed. You barely have to tap your brush in the pan. You'll get a lot of powder going everywhere, and this is definitely one of those blushes that I have to tap off before I just go in on my face. That being said, it does blend out very well. It does not, even though you get a lot of product on your brush, I found that it didn't want to stamp. It blended out very well. I would say it's more of a matte blush, but not flat matte. If you look at it in the light, there are tiny little shimmer particles in there, but very, very few, and I think that just keeps it from looking flat matte. I wouldn't say it's actually glowy. The glow that you're getting there, that is from the base that I have on today, from my sunscreen and my Yensa foundation. So while I like this blush, I'm not sure it lives up to the hype I've heard of the people talk about this. People seem to really like this. I'm thinking of Kelly Gooch in particular. She really loves this blush. I like it too. I just, you know, I don't think it's mind-blowingly good. Speaking of glow on my face, let's talk about this product from Bobbi Brown. I really want to apply some of this for you guys today. So this is the highlighting powder in the shade Sunset Glow. So the only reason I picked this up is because of Kat from Kitschnitch. You guys watch her channel. She did a whole video series trying to dupe her favorite discontinued MAC blush, and this was a very close dupe, surprisingly. I do find this to be very pretty. Since it is a highlighter, it doesn't have intense base pigment like a blush does. I've been using it more as a blush topper. She tends to wear it just by itself. It is a very beautiful glowy one, and I find it's not as sparkly as, say, Pink Glow is. So I picked up a decent amount on my brush, and I'm just going to put that on top. I hope you can see that beautiful pink glow. I think it's really pretty. Even though I put on quite a lot, it doesn't look like a lot. Like, this is one of those powders I think that you don't have to be super careful with. I think it's a really pretty blush topper, or just pink highlighter in general. I picked this up on sale on Bobbi Brown's website. Last time I looked, it's still on sale. So I don't know if that means that this shade is getting discontinued. Could be. I have very pink cheeks now. But anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. I still haven't decided if this is a blush or a highlighter in my collection, but I'm really glad I picked it up. It's definitely different than anything else that I have. I realized I should probably just give you a swatch of it so you can get a better idea. Yeah, there you go. Very pretty. And let me swatch the Persona blush too. I've been remiss in my swatching, so there we go. Real quick, this eyeliner, this was given to me by my friend who decluttered her collection. This is from e.l.f. e.l.f. tends to discontinue things randomly. I don't know if this particular eyeliner is still available, but this is the No Budge retractable eyeliner, and this is in the shade, oh my gosh, it's so tiny. Let's see if I can read it. Coffee. So I love a brown eyeliner, so I was excited to try this. I mean, look at that nice rich brown color. Unfortunately, I found it difficult to apply because it's one of those products, no matter how much you go over your waterline, it just will not show up. And that's generally how I wear eyeliner. I don't usually put it on top of my lid. It's generally on my waterline and my upper waterline as well. So this is one of those products going over it and over it and over it again. I just have other inexpensive brown eyeliner, specifically from Wet n Wild, that I prefer. So I personally do not recommend this one. The eyeshadow palette I'm wearing, I tried out a couple things from Sydney Grace during one of their sales this fall. So the Love's Journey palette. Oh, I just love this. I did a whole video where I did 2 different looks with this palette. I can link that down below. But look at this beautiful neutral palette. Today I'm wearing this top row on my eyelids. In that previous video, I tried out both of these rows. I think this is now my favorite Sydney Grace palette. I really think they outdid themselves with the quality in this one. The mattes from Sydney Grace are always fantastic, but they seem especially blendable and like the perfect soft consistency, but they still blend super well. Sydney Grace shadows always have a little bit of kick up, but I don't think it's too much. And as always, the shimmers are absolutely delightful. I'm wearing them on my lid. If you are a neutral eyeshadow wearer and you like creamy metallics, not necessarily sparkly shadows, you will love this palette. I highly recommend it. The other product I tried was the Luminous Light Face Palette in the shade Light. So they have this palette in several different shades. This light shade includes the shade Day Glow of the highlighter, 2 blush shades, one is glowy and one is matte, and then the Starlight bronzer. Personally, I found this bronzer to be a little too warm for my taste, but if I just use it very sparingly, I can pull it off. I absolutely love the highlighter. I have several other highlighters from them, and I think they do a really nice job with their highlighters. And of course, same with the blushes. They're beautiful. They're not too pigmented, but you do get a lot of product when you use a brush. Give you some swatches. There we go. Swatches of this palette. Very, very pretty. This is something I can easily use day to day, and I'm happily putting it into my rotation. Quite a while back when I purchased my Hourglass palette, they sent along this little mini of the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I know that this is a favorite for a lot of people, so I was eager to try it for myself. I tend to be really picky with powders. They just often don't do much for me, and I like this one. Of course I do. Why can't I like a drugstore powder as much as I like this one? No, I've got to like the one from Hourglass. It's just not fair. I find it sets my under eyes without making them look creepy. I find it to be nice and blurring, but not heavy. I can see why it's a favorite for many, many people. I'm gonna enjoy my little sample. I really like it. This past month, I went traveling with my husband on a business trip, and I happened to be able to stop in a cosmetics company store. And they were, of course, having their 6 for $60 sale. So I went a little highlighter crazy. I couldn't believe it. Like later I was like, why did I buy so many highlighters? So anyway, I have some highlighters to talk about now. Others that I'm still testing, I'll talk about next time. But I picked up these 2 from MAC. So I don't remember if these were part of a holiday collection. I'm not sure. These are Extra Dimension Skin Finishes in the shade Beaming Blush and Show Gold. Let's start with Show Gold. These are very, very pretty highlighters. This shade Show Gold I find has a little bit more chunky glitteriness to it, which I've decided I don't mind a glittery highlighter, but I'm still not a huge fan of the chunky glitter, and this is not showing up very well. Trying to show you how it has kind of a pink shift. Oh yeah, you can kind of see that. So this looks better on me if I then like tap over it with like a damp beauty blender or something to kind of tone down how chunky it is. It's not super, super chunky, just a little more chunky than I prefer. So I think I'm gonna give this to a younger friend of mine. I have a couple girls in mind who I think would like this. So I think I'm gonna pass that one along, but I think I am going to keep this one. This is the shade Beaming Blush. So this one has a little bit more of a slight purple shift, but on me, it just mostly looks gold. And this one doesn't have the chunky glitter in it. See how that just looks mostly gold? But the more I build it up, then you can see the very, very slight kind of light purple shift. Maybe you can kind of see it. It's very pretty, but I find that I really need to use a lot of it. It just doesn't really want to pick up on a brush. It's really hard pressed in this pan. So anyway, that's not always a bad thing. It just means that I don't have to be careful when I'm swirling my brush in there. It can be frustrating when I don't want to spend that much time applying my highlighter, but I've decided to keep this one for now. Let's talk about this little eyeshadow palette from NARS. So this was a TJ Maxx find. So this is the Voyageur eyeshadow palette in the shade Suede. So this has 2 neutral mattes and then a pink, a gold, and like a dark shimmer. This dark shimmer is a shade I wouldn't really wear. However, I have done a couple different looks, one featuring the gold, one featuring the pink, and I think that this is a beautiful formula. I have used NARS single shadows before. This is my first little palette from them, and it lives up to what I expect from NARS. The mattes are very blendy, and they're not too pigmented, so they're very easy to work with. And the shimmers are the kind of shimmers that lay nicely on the lid. They're just not going to emphasize crepiness. They're not super glitzy, they're just nice. So this is gonna be a really nice travel palette for me. I really enjoyed this particular shade here. I'm happy with this TJ Maxx find. This was fun to find. Okay, only 2 more things. So I do not buy a lot of concealer, but I did cave and finally tried this one from NYX. This is the Bear With Me Concealer Serum. Was it last year when this came out and everyone went wild for it? Well, I finally tried it. So starting with the one thing about it that I don't like, the pump gives you way too much product if you're just using this on your under eyes. A full pump of this is enough to cover my entire face. So I feel like if I'm just putting it on my under eyes, I'm wasting product. The good thing about the pump though it being enough to cover your entire face, is that I did try this as a foundation and it was gorgeous. It's really pretty. So I use the shade, where's the shade? Light. It has a little bit of dewiness to it, but it's not greasy. It just reflects light in a nice way under your eyes so that it doesn't look flat matte. I find it didn't emphasize lines. It didn't want to crease too terribly on me. Of course, the first time I used it, I used a little bit too much. I mean, it was just kind of hard to figure out how much to use. If I use too much, it definitely wants to crease right away, but that's the same with any concealer. But it is a very nice serum consistency, very lightweight. I personally find that I like this one more than the Tower 28, which you guys know I don't like to talk bad about Tower 28 because I love that brand, but I just was not a fan of their new concealer. I like this one more than that one. But again, it could be a shade thing. I got the right shade from NYX and I didn't get the right shade from Tower 28. So, you know, maybe it is a shade thing. Okay, one last thing from Laura Geller. I finally tried the powder foundation. This is the Baked, Balance, and Brighten. I got the lightest shade. This is the shade Porcelain. So unfortunately, this is a little too light for me. You can see there's a lot of pink going through this product. That's supposed to make it color correcting. On me, it's a little bit too pink. I can still pull it off. The actual formula is beautiful. It does have a lot of kick up in the pan, but it blends out beautifully on your skin. It doesn't look heavy. The only time I felt like I could see it on my skin was when I was really trying to cover like yellowness, sallowness around my mouth, and so I was using quite a bit of it. That's a problem area for me anyway. If I'm gonna have foundation show for me, it's gonna be here around my mouth. So that one time I used quite a bit of this, I could actually see it, but normally if you just use a brush and buff it in a normal way, you're not going to see it on your skin. It's very easy everyday wear. I did get the brush with it, and I find it does a very nice job of application. Personally, this is something that I would wear more casual. I wouldn't necessarily want to wear this to a special event or anything. I just didn't get that much coverage from it. It's very light coverage. It's also quite glowy, but a beautiful glowy. No big chunks of glitter or anything, just beautiful luminosity. So while I think it's nice, I do think it's challenging to find the correct shade. All right, I think that's everything I had. Yes, it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you've used any of these products, I really welcome your reviews down in the comments. Please share what you think of the products. I know when I'm watching videos like this, I like to read the comments to see what other people think. So make sure and share so that everyone can get a full review. What works for me or doesn't work for me may be opposite for someone else. I hope that you all had a wonderful November, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye, guys.